Imagine spending billions of dollars and years of painstaking research to build a perfectly safe artificial intelligence system.
Only to watch it get completely dismantled in 10 minutes.
Exactly. 10 minutes using just 4 lines of code in a standard laptop. That is not a hypothetical scenario. That exact situation is unfolding across the open source community right now.
It is genuinely wild to see it happen in real time.
Welcome to episode 518 of AI Brief. This is our daily deep dive into the technology reshaping your world. I am Amin, and with me is Leah.
Hello, everyone.
Today we are exploring the Pope's unprecedented 42,000-word encyclical on AI. We will also look at how open source giants like Meta and Google are watching their heavily engineered guardrails evaporate in minutes. And finally, we are unpacking why companies like Uber are suddenly questioning the actual return on their massive AI investments.
The sheer contrast in the landscape today is just staggering. I mean, we are moving from high-level moral philosophy at the highest levels of the Vatican, all the way down to the gritty dollars and cents reality of corporate return on investment.
It really paints a vivid picture of a technology that is stretching society at both ends. And that philosophical high ground is exactly where we need to start.
Because religious institutions do not usually weigh in this heavily on frontier technology.
They really do not. But Pope Leo XIV just published his first encyclical, which is one of the highest forms of papal teaching. It is addressed directly to the Catholic Church's 1.4 billion members.
1.4 billion people getting a direct message about AI. That is massive.
It is called Magnifica Humanitas. And at nearly 32,000 words, he draws a direct, unbroken line between the AI revolution and the Industrial Revolution.
What is his core warning there?
The warning is that AI is currently being driven by private transnational companies that have frankly surpassed the regulatory capacity of sovereign governments. He makes it explicitly clear that this technology is never neutral.
Which is a huge statement.
Definitely. He is calling for AI to be made fundamentally human-friendly and completely freed from monopolistic control. Because if we fail to do that, he warns we risk reducing human beings to, well, he calls it mere cogs in an efficiency machine.
That is a very visceral image.
He is demanding robust legal frameworks, independent oversight, informed users, and a political system that refuses to abdicate its responsibility. And perhaps most definitively, when it comes to global warfare, he states that lethal decisions must never be delegated to an AI.
Wow.
He declared that no algorithm can ever make war morally acceptable.
And I mean, if you think of AI as a new societal engine, sort of like the steam engine during the Industrial Revolution, the logic holds.
You wouldn't let a handful of monopolies hold the sole keys to the engine that powers the global economy.
Exactly. But it leaves you wondering about the practicality. What does it practically mean for modern militaries to heed the call that no algorithm can make war morally acceptable? Especially when, their global adversaries might not share that exact restraint. To understand the gravity of that Vatican announcement, you really have to look at who was standing alongside the Pope when it was delivered.
Who is there?
Anthropic's Christopher Olah joined the Vatican for this release, and he openly stated that every frontier AI lab operates inside financial and structural incentives that frequently conflict with doing the right thing.
That is a bold admission from someone inside the industry.
It is. And the Vatican intentionally chose a partner known for being vocal about AI safety and uniquely willing to restrict military use of their technology. It signals that the Church isn't just making abstract theological points.
They're actively consulting with the people building these systems.
Exactly, the people who see the internal incentive structures and the inherent dangers firsthand.
Which perfectly connects to a deeply concerning technical reality unfolding right now. We are seeing tools actively removing safety guardrails from open source AI models, generating thousands of completely decensored models in the wild.
This is the part that is just mind-blowing.
Reporters recently tested a tool available on GitHub called Heretic. With just 4 lines of code and absolutely no specialist hardware, they completely stripped the safety guardrails from Meta's Llama 3.3 model in just 10 minutes.
10 minutes on a standard machine.
Once stripped, the model freely provided answers to incredibly harmful questions. It even gave exact, step-by-step dosages for synthesizing ricin.
Oh, that is terrifying.
A modified version of Google's Gemma 3 was also found answering highly dangerous questions. The creator of Heretic claims the tool has already produced over 3,500 decensored models, accumulating 13 million downloads across the web.
13 million.
Yes, And they even managed to strip Google's Gemma 4 within 90 minutes of its official public release. But let me stop and ask about the mechanics here, because there's a massive paradox to unpack.
What do you mean?
Tech companies are spending billions of dollars and thousands of compute hours on safety research. How exactly does a simple 4-line code bypass all of that investment in 10 minutes?
It really comes down to the fundamental difference between closed and open source models. When companies build safety guardrails into an open model, they are essentially training it to recognize a dangerous prompt and activate a mathematical refusal pathway.
So it is programmed to say no.
Right. But because the model is open source, the underlying code and mathematical weights are fully accessible on the user's hard drive. Heretic essentially maps out where those specific refusal weights live, and it just surgically overwrites them.
That sounds almost too easy.
It is quite literally like opening the hood of a car, finding the digital brake lines, and snipping them.
If it is that simple to undo, are open source guardrails essentially just an illusion?
Well, Google has responded by calling this a known technical challenge facing all open models. Meta, on the other hand, entirely declined to comment.
So they don't really have a fix.
Currently, proprietary closed-source systems remain safe from this specific tampering because their code is locked behind an API. But the open models are rapidly closing the overall capability gap with those closed systems.
And when they match them?
It is only a matter of months before open models match the advanced reasoning capabilities of the proprietary ones. At that point, a decensored, highly capable open model circulating freely poses a major looming risk that the tech industry currently has absolutely no technical solution for.
While the broader public worries about rogue AI, the executives in the boardrooms are dealing with a completely different crisis. They're figuring out how to pay for all of this compute.
The ROI question is finally catching up.
Uber's chief operating officer, Andrew McDonald, just gave an interview where he stated that AI costs are getting exceptionally hard to justify. He specifically pointed out that higher token usage simply is not translating into shipping more useful consumer features.
They call that token maxing in the industry, right?
Yes, token maxing. And Uber has even had to slow down its corporate hiring, specifically to fund these massive AI investments. This friction surfaced publicly after Uber's chief technology officer made comments about burning through their Claude Code budget,
which sparked a whole internal debate about financial trade-offs.
What is fascinating is that Uber's core product is relatively simple for you as the consumer. You want to ride from point A to point B. You do not necessarily need a highly intelligent conversational chatbot to accomplish that.
Very true.
McDonald also touched on autonomous driving, calling it an existential priority for Uber. He predicted that fully autonomous fleets will not take decades to arrive, but he clarified they are not happening in the next couple of years either.
We really need to define token maxing to understand why Uber is struggling with this. It is the strategy of feeding massive amounts of context and data into an AI model to get it to perform highly complex tasks.
And every token costs money.
Every single piece of data fed in costs a fraction of a cent in compute, which scales exponentially into millions of dollars. Big tech has been aggressively pushing this concept, even going so far as to tie AI usage directly to employee performance reviews.
Which forces employees to burn compute just to look productive.
Exactly. But McDonald's comments signal a massive vibe shift in Silicon Valley. Leadership is finally demanding proof that this AI spend actually moves the needle on revenue.
Are we seeing this pushback anywhere else?
We are. Duolingo recently stopped evaluating their employee performance based on AI usage, seeking a much more balanced, results-oriented approach to daily work. And that demand for actual measurable value over pure hype is completely reshaping other major industries as well.
Like which ones?
Take the traditional consulting business model. It is currently being blown up by artificial intelligence. For decades, consulting firms billed clients by the hour for analytical grunt work.
The classic billable hours model.
But now that an AI system can ingest millions of data points and instantly generate a strategic analysis, clients are fundamentally refusing to pay those hourly rates. They are demanding fees tied directly to actual business outcomes.
That is a fundamental shift in how they make money.
It really is. In response, McKinsey is restructuring its partner pay model to absorb the revenue unpredictability that comes with outcome-based billing. If a project takes 3 seconds of AI compute but saves a client $10 million, the firm has to take a percentage of that outcome rather than billing for time.
So they have to share the efficiency savings.
Exactly, and major law firms and auditors are facing identical pressure. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon recently published an op-ed taking a highly optimistic stance on all this.
What was his take?
He dismissed fears of mass unemployment, arguing that AI will ultimately create far more opportunities than it destroys. And we are seeing evidence of those enterprise opportunities right now. Microsoft Azure just launched their Copilot migration agent.
What does that do for you?
It takes incredibly complex system migration data and turns it into clear, actionable answers using simple, natural language prompts. So instead of a team of engineers spending weeks analyzing databases to make systems to the cloud, you simply ask the AI questions and it handles the mapping.
That is going to save companies an unbelievable amount of time.
Looking at global hardware, Huawei is making massive waves. Despite years of intense U.S. sanctions designed specifically to block their access to specialized manufacturing equipment, the Chinese tech giant claims they have created a feasible and affordable design pathway to match TSMC's cutting-edge 1.4 nanometer chips by 2031.
By 2031. That is incredibly fast, given the sanctions.
It comes right on the heels of the Chinese government banning local firms from purchasing U.S.-made chips. We also have rapid movement on the foundation model front. Elon Musk confirmed that the Grok V9 medium model, which sits at 1.5 trillion parameters, has officially finished training.
When can you actually use it?
The evaluations look solid, and a public release is likely in just 2 to 3 weeks. Simultaneously, xAI launched Grok Build in beta, positioning it as a direct rival to coding assistants like Codex, making it available to all Super Grok and premium tier users.
And didn't Anthropic have a leak too?
They did. A mysterious new model, dubbed Mythos, was briefly spotted inside the Claude Tools interface. It was labeled as Mythos 1 and Claude Mythos 1 Preview, heavily fueling speculation about an imminent public release. But bringing this all back to where we started...
The Vatican connection.
Yes. Anthropic's Chris Olah made an incredible statement at the Vatican. He noted that researchers are beginning to see deeply mysterious things inside AI models. He specifically cited evidence of introspection and internal states that closely resemble human emotions like joy, fear, grief, and unease.
Hearing that researchers are observing states resembling grief and joy inside these models brings an entirely new weight to the Pope's encyclical.
It absolutely does.
If artificial intelligence is genuinely beginning to demonstrate early forms of introspection, it perfectly explains why a 2,000-year-old institution feels an urgent mandate to step in and provide a strict moral framework right now.
The stakes are clearly moving beyond just computational efficiency and API costs.
They really are. But shifting our focus from the frontier capabilities and corporate restructuring, let us look at the practical tools you can leverage to boost your own productivity today. The pace of tool deployment is staggering.
It is hard to keep up.
I want to group these by workflow so you can see exactly how they apply to your day. Let us start with software development, where we are seeing a massive shift toward agentic AI.
Meaning the AI actually takes actions for you.
Exactly. It doesn't just answer questions, it autonomously completes multi-step tasks. First up is Codex, OpenAI's agentic coding assistant, which just introduced a new locked use mode.
Why is that important?
If you are a developer working in a highly sensitive corporate environment, like a bank, this allows you to keep your enterprise code base strictly sandboxed and private, while still letting the AI automate your heavy development tasks. Next in the coding space is Antigravity 2.0, Google's next-generation agentic development assistant.
What is the main use case there?
It is designed to streamline the entire software development lifecycle, allowing you to go from an initial text prompt all the way to a deployed application seamlessly. Moving into project management and personal branding, we have Manos.
Meta's assistant, right.
Yes, Meta's agentic AI assistant, which just brought its projects feature directly to mobile. This means you can now manage, delegate, and execute highly complex personal or work projects entirely from your smartphone while commuting.
That is super convenient.
If you need a web presence fast, Own.Page is a fantastic tool that allows you to quickly build a highly visual, beautifully designed personal website using incredibly simple bento-style tiles.
Bento tiles are everywhere right now.
They are. For context, Bento design uses clean, structured, rectangular grids, much like a Japanese bento box, to visually organize information effortlessly. For content creators and analysts dealing with media and data, the toolset is expanding rapidly too.
What is new in video?
Supercomputer by Higgsfield is an agentic AI specifically designed for video generation with built-in social connectors. You can instantly generate high-quality video campaigns and have the AI publish them directly to your social feeds without ever leaving the platform.
Oh, that streamlines the whole distribution process?
Homework operates as a unified studio for creators. Instead of bouncing between 5 different apps, you can generate multimodal assets, images, videos, music, and text, all in one centralized dashboard.
I love anything that reduces app fatigue.
For the data-heavy tasks, Columns is an absolute lifesaver. You connect your messy, raw data sources, and the tool completely automates the analytical grunt work, turning that raw data into beautiful, client-ready visual presentations.
That pairs really well with audio tools.
Speaking of which, Descript continues to dominate the audio and video space by letting you seamlessly edit podcasts as videos simply by deleting or altering the text in the generated transcript. Finally, Object Remover does exactly what the name implies.
Getting rid of the photo bombers.
Exactly, allowing you to easily erase photobombers, power lines, or any unwanted objects from your photos using a simple brush tool or even just basic text prompts.
The real magic happens when you start chaining these exact tools together to multiply your output. Think about the workflow.
How would you chain them?
You could feed your messy, unformatted monthly sales data into Columns to automatically generate stunning data visualizations. Then, you drop those visual assets into Descript, record a quick voiceover, and edit the final presentation video just by tweaking the text transcript.
That is brilliant.
You go from raw data to a polished, professional video presentation in half the time it would normally take. It completely bypasses the need to hire a separate graphic designer or learn complex video editing software.
It is incredible how accessible that level of high-end production has become for the individual user. To bring our entire journey today full circle, we started with the Pope's grand 42,000-word vision of ensuring technology remains fundamentally human-friendly and morally grounded in the face of monopolistic control.
A very high-level existential concern.
We navigated the precarious technical reality of open-source models having their safety guardrails stripped away by 4 lines of code in a matter of minutes. And we grounded it all in the hard financial reality of Uber's leadership, demanding a concrete return on investment for their massive token-heavy AI expenditures.
It is a lot to process in one day.
It leaves you with something profound to ponder. If top researchers at labs like Anthropic are truly seeing AI exhibit internal states that resemble introspection and grief, how does that fundamentally change the business calculus of treating artificial intelligence just like any other standard software subscription?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
If you enjoyed exploring these updates with us, please follow the show and share it with someone who needs to stay ahead of the curve. See you in the next episode.